this is my picture that I finished up last night, and it's a Bear Creek bat watching picture. So when I was a teenager, I used to watch bats in the Bear Creek. And there's a bat, and there's some bats hanging in the old dead tree here. And there's me and my ex-boyfriend as teenagers sitting there watching bats. And that's not how we'd watch the bats, but it's this is how we did for this picture. And this is the, okay, I should talk about first, I got this volume 2 out of the library first, and I was like, oh, I really want to use it, so I'm going to start drawing the trees. So my lovely little winter tree didn't end up looking great, and I thought, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to make it a spring tree that's about to break bud, because I don't want to be drawing winter things in winter anyway. It makes me unhappy. So I looked back at, he was going way too fast for me, but that's because I hadn't done volume 1 first. And so I looked back at the instructions for this, and I realized, oh, he pauses the camera between, like I'm busy working, and then I'd look up and I was like, oh my gosh, he's way ahead of where I am. You know, how is he going so fast? Well, because he's pausing along the way. This actually took a lot of work, and he did switch brushes along the way to a rigger. So once I did, now my tree looks a little more natural. And there are some mistakes I could try to fix. I think I'm going to try to put maybe some sort of bird here to cover that up, because the branches get narrower and narrower as the tree gets taller, right? And so in order to fix this, I can't take all that black paint off. I would have to make this trunk here way thicker, and I might thicken it up yet, but not to enough of a weight to support that. So, but I'll worry about that later. So today, I did this horse, which was a part of volume 1, which I got out of the library yesterday. So this is where I stopped in the volume 2 on lesson 5 about trees. I stopped with the palm, basically. Well, I stopped here. He mentioned masking fluid, and I didn't know if he'd wanted masking fluid in this one tree, and then I was just like, I got frustrated. So anyway, that resulted in a bat painting, which great. So the palm tree was the last actual tree that I did in his lesson thing of the trees. And then I decided to stick Myrna the iguana and a love seat there. And I'll finish that later. So a lot of the time, that's what I do. I'll work on different things. And then
no, you have
go over here.
The food out, right?
Nope.
Oh, you haven't?
So
okay, I'll wait.
There's, I don't know if you can see my drawing, there's a little man standing there, and he's holding a mop, and he's standing on the heads of 2, I don't know, alligators, crocodiles, some sort of thing, and there's this hose with the water coming out, and there's the end of the mop. Anyway, so this was a ditch art picture that I decided, once I got frustrated with the volume 2 drawing, I just started having fun just drawing again. So yesterday the volume 1 came in, and this is the first disc. This is the only drawing that you do in the first disc, and there is actual, if you look closely, there's pencil lines. I didn't erase them, I didn't plan on this really being anything, so I just went along with whatever he was instructing to do, and that's what came of it. And it's going to be a picture on a wall.
Water and lakes, but the mountains aren't as jagged as
yeah. So and the horse was from the second disc, and I'm gonna have to change my shadows because they're different. But
it kind of makes him stand up.
Well,
like he's got a spotlight on him.
So that's what James is eating today. This persimmon and the grapes that we got from the Salvation Army are not that great this week. So
oh well, they're better than nothing.
Better than nothing. I'm very thankful. Yep. Murdoch Mysteries season 16 got top of the stack. Doctor Who, Eve of the Daleks, and Legend of the Sea Devils got second, even though I don't like that woman as Doctor Who. Sometimes, Always, Never. Meg 2, The Trench, Dick Tracy Double Feature, and then Gangs of London season, I think this was 2 or something. That got bottom of the stack, and that was awful. Oh, So, I mean, Dick Tracy was awful. I don't know how.
Is that the one with Madonna, you said?
What? No, it's this. I'm gonna put all this stuff away so I can sit down, so you can talk to the people for a minute about whatever. So I'm putting stuff away.
What's there to talk about? I haven't been listening to the news. It's got to be awful. What can I say? The Iranians are helping out the Russians commit atrocities. The Ukraine, of course, and the Iranians are, as a government, I've run across some very nice Iranians, but they've tended to be secular, the ones that I've met over here, but the fundamentalist regime that's in power in Iran is one of the worst ever invented by humankind. And they're supplying the Russians with drones. Poor Russians, they don't realize that the Iranians aren't very good allies for the Russians. The Russians are kind of secular, although Putin pays lip service to the Russian or Eastern Orthodox Church. Eventually, of course, the Iranians will want to convert the world to their brand of Islam, and that's the whole world. And that's what they're supposed to do. And of course, they'd prefer if you and the Russians surrendered, but they'll do it by main force if necessary. That's the way it was up until the Western powers put the kibosh to all that silliness in Africa, in India, frankly in Europe too. I mean, Turkey had a huge empire just within Europe. They might have had more land in Europe than France did. And the Turks are native to Siberia. Okay, Siberia, that's in Asia. Northeastern Asia. Okay. Go for it.
All right. So Murdoch Mysteries season 16. Wow, what an ending for this season. This, I mean, it's not an ending. You know, season 17 is coming. But very exciting. There were some silly things in this mystery, but in this season, that Canadians love Murdoch. I don't know.
Well,
if you don't love
Canadian.
Murdoch, you're not a Canadian.
He seems like very Canadian. You know, like he's kind of the way Canadians used to be before they got really head up about being a nerd.
Doctor Who. So I don't like this woman as Doctor Who, but I didn't have much here that could beat it, really. It was entertaining enough. I certainly enjoyed Eve of the Daleks more than Legend of the Sea Devils, and I hate the Daleks. When they come on the screen, I'm like, oh, Daleks. I can't stand them. It's not like, oh, I hate the Daleks. Yay, Doctor Who beat them. No, it's like, oh, I can't stand watching them. Please come up with a different thing.
Are those the ones that used to look like automated
like a trash
garbage
can.
cans?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everyone must think.
No, I mean, I think that's great. That, like, the budget that Doctor Who was obviously operating on.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
awesome.
I mean,
right?
I really don't care about that part.
Yeah.
You know?
It just,
It's
you gotta
just
be
like,
creative.
Yeah, it's a thought that goes in.
Yeah. But, anyway, I guess the Daleks are good to make fun of.
Oh.
Sometimes, always,
Yeah.
never. Bill Nighy, is that how you say his name?
I don't know. I'd say Nye. Oh, yeah, Nye.
But anyway.
He's the guy that strips down. I think
Yeah,
it's
James
in his
is a
contract.
big fan of him.
every show, it seems as though he might take a budgetary cut just so he can appear nude in the movie.
Well, he's always himself.
I think
And
so. Yeah.
I always like him. So it's just that there wasn't really. It's a drama, and I don't know that I really cared so much about it. But maybe he's right about the 2-letter words in Scrabble, how they're the way to win it. I mean, how James plays Scrabble, it is so frustrating because he blocks everything right up. You can't put words in because everything, he has things like going off in it's a block. Like it's a...
Not intended as that. I try to get things where
Well, and it's huge points, right? When you get because you get it going in 2 directions at once, or sometimes you even manage to make more than 2 words out of, like, with the block. It's really interesting how James does it, but frustrating to play against.
You know what they say, the skill you need for Scrabble is not verbal?
Yeah,
it's
that's what they were saying in this.
No?
They were saying the problem, you think you want to play Scrabble because you think it's going to be all about the words, but it's not about the words at all. It's all about the numbers. And and it's almost like a geometrical feat the way James does it. It's awesome to watch, and he wins. Doing it. It's very hard to, unless you want to play the same way. Then you might have a chance.
I find it frustrating.
Oh, you found it?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you've played against that before.
Yeah. Well, just against you doing it.
You play against me and you get frustrated?
Well, when you started adopting my style, you started to get big points. And
well, there's no other way to do it. You can't, how can I play any other style against you? There's no way. You block it right up.
Well, I'm telling you, I've never been beaten so badly. And I had a brother who was 2 years, 4 months older than me. Guess what? He still is.
Scrabble.
He's I've never been beaten so badly as by a friend of mine. He's pretty well my best friend. We're one of my 2 best friends at university. Math major, and he ended up getting his PhD in math, and I'm pretty sure PhD teaching at a university in Australia. And he just hammered me. He was getting triple word scores, using up all this.
I believe it.
Again and again and again.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers. It's not about the...
least of all him, that he knew words. English vocabulary.
Yeah, you think you're... Oh, well, I have a great big English vocabulary. I once won Scrabble. I played against 2 English... one was doing her English bachelor's in university, and the other one he already had his English bachelor's. And they were very serious about it. They were going on to do masters and all this, right? So
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes, and I beat them. And
they must have been shocked.
They must have been shocked because they were playing and assumed that Scrabble was all about the words, and it is not.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's about numbers, but there's a geometry involved.
Yeah.
Geometry is a major part of mathematics, and it probably should be considered one of the 2 main things. There's the numbers part, and then there's the pictures part. And although I don't think it tends to be that way. I know one physicist who is a theoretical physicist, nuclear physicist. I was talking about relationship, astronomical relationship. He said, you get an equation. If you get an equation, then you show it to the big boys, and they'll reject it and all that sort of stuff. He was, I was really annoyed with him because he was Japanese, probably still is if he's still alive, and his command of English was very, very fractured. And he insists on trying to write English poetry, which is good as an exercise. You don't try and get it published. So I try and clean it up I clean up his articles from, I was working at the student newspaper at the university here at Lethbridge. And, it was, he didn't realize, like he'd been to Princeton and University of Pennsylvania. He didn't realize that I was, if anything, his superior.
Well, especially
because I could go to University of Pennsylvania, literally.
Yeah.
I've been told by one professor to send me there. But I could go in several disciplines, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
This one discipline is, you could say it's specialized, but you have to know lots. And to really do it justice, lots and lots of different languages. So, yeah. Anyway, every time I talk to him about science, show me the equation. I wanted to, equations mean nothing. How many equations did Michael Faraday come up with? He's supposed to be the greatest experimental scientist in the world. There's that experimental side, and really that's what it's about. The guy dealt with pictures. You can tell Faraday dealt with pictures, not numbers. Numbers get you accuracy. The pictures get you stuff that works. Huh?
Yeah, anyway, you need the creativity.
You need the creativity.
Yeah. So anyway, Meg 2, The Trench. This, I didn't expect that this was a Statham movie, but it is. And I mean, aside from, okay, I should say that I didn't actually watch the whole movie because whoever had this last from the library, I think they tried to feed it to Meg 2. To the Meg shark.
My usual joke is they played frisbee with it. Is it like...
It was, so honestly, it skipped a lot, and then honestly, I missed a half an hour block of this movie. Mm-hmm. But I did manage to see the one scene, the killer shot where Statham has kind of speared the shark, whatever, and it's a good scene. But honestly, this movie is disturbing. It's they're going into, the story is these humans went into this trench where there's all sorts of new life in the ocean, right? It's really deep, and one guy has brought back an orphaned shark and keeps it in captivity, and he's pretty sure he's trained it so that it won't eat him.
Is this how the training? Is he trying to kill?
No. Honestly, I think that's the angry mom who was like, that baby was not an orphan, and
my God.
coming after her. But
that's
anyway,
so unrealistic. You'll have no chance against that.
So
he's trying to drop
going,
the shark's jaws.
Yeah.
with his foot. Oh man.
So anyway,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of great animation so that it looks real. The shark attacks and whatever, all this stuff, and the little dinosaur things that I honestly, I don't understand the presence of the dinosaur things. But anyway,
maybe some of the new life that came.
I'm not sure. This is like a cross cross with Godzilla and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or whatever that's called, and Jurassic Park,
was
maybe.
It 20,000? Yeah,
I don't
Jules
know what
Verne.
it was. Some
old sci-fi thing.
Many leagues under the sea. I don't know how many exactly, because I was never into that movie. But anyway, they go into this new world, right? And there's a big Chinese cast in this, along with Statham and one other white chick, I think. Anyway.
Is Statham spelled like Saddam Hussein?
What's Jason Statham?
Oh, Statham. I'm missing. And I can't stand that guy. But,
Okay, well anyway, I mean, a lot of actors are making that leap to star in movies that are more Chinese, right? Like,
of course,
it just makes sense. They
the
know
Chinese
where they're going to make their money.
Might actually provide some of the much of the money.
Yeah. So I understand that.
It's
and
hilarious
whatever.
Looking at
But,
white guys being bad guys in Chinese movies.
Yeah.
Because in the Bruce Lee movies and stuff.
But I don't, honestly, this doesn't make Chinese people look good when you're going into a new world and all guns a-blazing on the endangered species. It doesn't look good.
I don't think they really care that much. If
Anyway.
they cared about looking good, they would have shut down a certain play at source instead of exporting it to the whole world.
Dick Tracy Meets Gruesome and Dick Tracy Detective. I guess
Two
those
features? Double
yeah,
feature?
2 features. From
Double Dicker action?
One's 19.
Decker. Okay. Yeah.
One's 1947, the other's 1945, and I'm glad that I watched this at this time because in Murdoch they had a black and white episode in this season, and honestly I couldn't see the point to it. There, you do get the shadows off the prison bars and stuff, which is in black and white. It looks impressive, but really, if they were trying for something artful with black and white, honestly, I think they failed. But they did a better job than Dick Tracy when Dick Tracy had to use black and white. This was awful.
If it's the
I
late
don't know
40s,
how-
they didn't even have to.
Oh,
They
didn't-
started having color around 1930.
Mm,
And they couldn't-
okay.
They maybe were trying to look kind of edgy or something like that.
Maybe, I don't
Pretty.
know. But there was one joke.
Maybe it was TV. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, yeah, TV wouldn't
They
have
did
had.
TV.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
TV
that's
thing.
why for TV. So anyway, because even when I was a teenager, I mean, I had a black and white TV in my room, and I felt pretty special that I had a black and white TV in my room. You know. Anyway, so in Dick Tracy Meets Gruesome, there's this joke about somebody makes a joke about it seems like they're dealing with Boris Karloff or something, and he's starring in the show, so they're making a joke of the horror thing or whatever, and so that was the only thing good about watching the double feature. That was dreadful, but luckily I'm doing artwork, so whatever.
Kind of disappointing. I kind of like the cartoon things, although I get the feeling that whoever turned that out was pretty right-wing. It was amazing. I just couldn't keep track of all the villains he was up against. You know, like, I can't even remember Gruesome, but it seemed like a different one each episode. But you knew they were getting circulated and circulated. I didn't understand half the... I mean, they had really sophisticated political commentary kind of cartoons by comparison with the...
And honestly, I think during this Dick Tracy thing, what made it even worse is what I was painting were those little tiny branches with the rigger, and that was boring. Boring. So, yeah, if I'd had something entertaining in the background to take my mind off of the repetitive, totally uncolorful, boring stuff I was doing, that would have helped. But boy. Gangs of London Season 2. This I didn't watch. I watched the first couple episodes of it or something, and there's so much soundtrack of people being tortured and in pain and whatever that while it was really, I didn't want to listen to it while I was doing art. So I think I was working on the bat picture while I was trying to go through this one. And at one point I looked up and I saw something that I can't unsee. And I was like, okay, that's it. So I took it off. Absolutely disgusting. I don't know who would get off on watching this stuff. It is gross and totally disturbing. Like, yeah. If this makes your top of the stack, please don't watch my show. Just go somewhere else. You won't enjoy my show. I'm not the same kind of person as you. This is disturbing.
They do have gangs in London. They did in the 60s, you know. Sometimes the organized crime would get involved with the music industry there. Nothing like what obtained in the United States. People don't understand, they're saying, oh, let everyone in. And that's what we did with the mafia. The mafia, not a soul should have come from the mafia. When they were caught, there should have been laws that just sent them right back to Sicily or wherever.
Yep. So you have a few minutes if you have something to talk about. Did you want to talk about something?
No, not really.
Okay, that's it then.